Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. Today I'm joined by David to discuss the best captaincy candidates for Gameweek 34. David, welcome. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thanks. I'm still living off the buzz of going for a bit of a differential and captaining Jamie Vardy in blank Gameweek 33. Very happy about that.
There's no party like one, and you're in the midst of it.
Oh, it was incredible. So yeah, it's given me the really exciting kind of inspiration to possibly captain a Brighton defender this week. So
do it.
Let's crack on, yeah?
Yes, let's do it. Right, well, let's have a look at the fixtures. We have, after a blank game week, a double game week. And it's Brighton and Cardiff who've got the double this time around. So that may not excite people, but I think it excites us a little bit. Now, Brighton have the better fixtures of the two. They had the two home games there against Cardiff and then also against Bournemouth. Let's go with Brighton first before Cardiff. Are there any Brighton assets we're considering? And I'm going to put a picture up of the guy that I think we might be considering, Shane Duffy.
Yeah. Basically, looking at Brighton, the long short of it is I'm considerably more prepared to captain a defensive asset for these two matches than I am an attacking one. And we'll get on to why I'm not that bold about the attacking ones in a minute. But in terms of, Shane Duffy just has everything. He's got goal threat and he's got clean sheet potential, and he's got two matches, both at home, against two teams that I quite likely to blank, in my opinion and in the opinion of lots of other people as well. So in the last four home matches for Brighton, nobody's had more shots in the box than Duffy. Ooh. Nobody's had more shots at all than Duffy, with 10. All of his shots have been in the box, and only two of those have been on target, to be fair. So it is very much he is going to be a threat at set pieces, and a lot of the time it's going to go over the bar or someone's going to get in the way. But if you're faced with a particular game where you've got just one set of double, or two teams, I suppose, Brighton and Cardiff, that are doubling, then he stands such a chance in both matches of getting something. So to look at their defensive potential as well, you've got a Bournemouth side they've basically blanked in 6 of their last 9 away matches. Mm-hmm. You've got a Cardiff team that are joint bottom of the league for big chances in the last 4 away matches. Brighton themselves in a fairly strongish position defensively in their last 4 home matches as well. 2 clean sheets in that time too. So there's just whenever you want to look for a captain, you're kind of looking for several different tick boxes. And in a normal game week, the two of us, we kind of look at people and say, well, we need to look at what they're doing in the box, what they're doing in terms of shots on target, what's their opponent like defensively, what they got to play for. But with Duffy, there's loads. As we've just covered there, there's goal threat, there's clean sheet potential. The teams they're playing are quite poor away from home. Bournemouth on the beach, basically, at this point. Cardiff have to fight for their lives, but just really poor away from home. And it's 2 matches. So, to go down the route that a lot of people often go down is it's not necessarily an opportunity for you to get returns in both. It just increases your chances that you will get returns in at least one of them. So there's so many things to back up why Duffy is actually quite an exciting captain option for this week.
Yeah, no, I had a look at some stats as well, very similar to ones to you. I specifically looked at home matches. Brighton are one of those teams where they're much better at home than away. You get that. And you get their rivals Palace, weirdly, are much better away than at home. But it's interesting to compare. I'm looking at that there, and the last 6 home matches, you're right, Duffy's up there with 10 shots, 2 on target there. But importantly, he's also had 3 clean sheets as well. So we're looking at this is what it's all about with a captaincy, is points and the different routes to points there, which is good. He also does very well on baseline bonus, as you would expect for someone who can intercept and block and all of those types of things that him as a very good centre-back does. Looking at some others there, Andoni just doesn't get the starts, but he's looking good there with 10 shots. Locadia as well with 13 shots. He's got a couple of goals as well. I think he could be an interesting one for like a 1-week punt. You wouldn't want to be left with him for a long time. Gross, we don't know whether he'll be back, whether he'll be fully fit. And he, of course, shares set piece duties with Knockhart. So we can see from there, Knockhart's got 10 chances at home. Last 6 home matches he's played, and Gross last 6 home matches he's played 15. So they're pretty much sharing there. Dunk is just not up to Duffy's standard. Dunk is 4.4, Duffy's 4.7. Dunk doesn't offer the same level of threat that Duffy does. I'm not saying he won't score, he can do. He does get the odd.
You probably will know who said that.
Yeah, we probably will now. Yeah, exactly. And there's a whole bunch of other players who I really like as a Brighton fan, but also just as a football fan. Izquierdo, I really like the look of. Solly March. I just can't guarantee they're going to start 2 games. And in fact, I'll probably say it's more likely they won't start 2 games, which is sad. So we don't have those assets there. So at the end of the day, if you're going to captain a double player, it's got to be Duffy really from Brighton, which is a bit weird. But it could work.
It's a weird one.
Let's have a look at Cardiff. I'll put some more stats up for Cardiff. This is with Cardiff. We're looking at goal scorers in their last 6 matches, and it's not good. It's not exciting. Camarasa and Solbamba and Bobby Reid have had 2 goals each. And of them, Solbamba is injured, so discount him. Bobby Reid's kind of there. He's had 2 shots on target, 2 goals, and Camarasa only 4 shots on target and 2 goals. But he has created 8 chances. It's looking like with Cardiff, they've got Burnley away and Brighton away, so two away matches. So they're not great fixtures for them. And I look at that and I just think if you're going to captain any Cardiff player for 2 fixtures, it's Camarasa or no one. But what do you think, David?
Yeah, I mean that's what I said just before we came on was. He is the only one that I would consider captaining, but it's a bold call because obviously those stats are all right. They'll do. Chances created is nice and it looks nice, but I mean a lot of that comes from set pieces, and as we've kind of picked up on a lot more this season, sometimes someone having some threat in terms of chance creation from open play is actually a lot more better for points potential than from set pieces. Set piece chances aren't always quite so clear cut, for example. So, yeah, I mean, I personally, I don't even know if I'll own Camarasa, being honest. I don't really like these fixtures for Cardiff. I think that I think they're going to go down. I think most people would say that as well. I don't think they're not going to fizzle out, but I just don't think they've quite got enough to really get over the line. And a lot of that's evidenced by when you look at the attacking data of the players that you've mentioned in this table. There's not a lot that excites. So yeah, I'm probably not even going to own Camarasa, let alone captain.
I was going to get Camarasa in, and then I looked into it a bit more, and the way that my wildcard team is looking like shaping up, getting him in would cause a bit of a benching headache in game week 34, and I don't know if I want to dump a good player with just for 1 fixture for the best of a bad bunch who's got 2 not very good fixtures. So
yeah, exactly.
I might even go without him. Bear in mind, if someone's wants to captain a Cardiff player, say with a heavy sigh, is Camarasa or bust really.
I think so.
There's a good bunch of single game week fellas as well. Now one of the key things that's been good success for the captaincy recently is, as you found out, is to find out who's playing Huddersfield or Fulham and then put the armband on their striker. And I think that's possibly going to be the case this week. I anticipate Harry Kane to be very well backed. He is facing Huddersfield. But of course, now there's a word I'm going to mention here, and you may mention it, rotation. Is there the possibility, perhaps not for Kane, but for Son and Eriksen and others, is there the possibility that because this game is sandwiched in between very important Champions League games and also comes quite near another important Premier League game against City, is there the chance this is the one where we see a bit of rotation?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, to suggest that there would be no rotation at all would be a dangerous thing to say. I mean, I 100% agree with you on Kane. I think the chance that he'll just play all of these games. Eriksen, I think, is the most likely out of the other 3, between Son, himself, and Ali, to play the most minutes. But a home game against Huddersfield, does feel like the kind of they can get through without having to with the other options to come in off the bench. I mean, I think partially it might kind of depend on how the first leg goes with Man City, because let's just say, because I don't think it's really outside the realms of possibility that Man City win the first leg 3-0. Could definitely happen. Does Pochettino just throw in the towel and say, okay, right, well, we're not going to get through this. We might be able to, but really we need to focus on winning those Premier League games and get top four. Because I think Pochettino has some big decisions to make in terms of where his priority lies in the next couple of days. Because, you know, their chances of finishing in the top four have grown slimmer over the last couple of weeks because they've had some bad results. And obviously they've beaten Palace and kind of got a little bit back into winning ways, but it's still very tight up there in the top four. You know, anyone from so Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, any two of those teams could end up finishing outside of that because there is just 3 points in it. So it's a tough one. I mean, they while they could maybe just get past Huddersfield without having to play everybody, they may well have to if they, you know, if they lose that first leg to Man City, or just because they feel like they just margin for error, you know. So if they all played all of those games, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're the manager, you're going to rest players for a particular game. I think there is going to be rotation in this game, because no matter what the score is against City, say they get hammered 3-0, then the way Spurs are set up, the way their mentality is that they would probably think that they could still come out with 3-0 themselves. I don't think they would throw the towel in for it, but
I didn't mean like play the under 23.
Oh no, but I think, but I also think Kane very, very rarely gets rested, and I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm just going to assume Kane's going to start. And whilst I'll be backing players like Eriksen and Son for this, I cannot guarantee to people out there that they're going to play. But Kane I do. So let's just assume Kane's going to play. And the stats there back up him being a good captaincy choice. Huddersfield have just 2 clean sheets on the road, and they've conceded 35 goals away. Only Bournemouth and Fulham have shipped more. And over the last 4 matches, Kane has very secretly been doing well. Kane is second to Lukaku for shots in the box over the last 4 matches, and he's third to Vardy and Lukaku for shots on target as well. So he's a great option. I think he'll play. I think if you and me, we're quite keen on Duffy, but I can understand why people wouldn't be, because it is a bit odd. And I think Harry Kane has to be the main contender for the single game weekers.
We're saying he's currently top of the poll that we put up this morning, and actually by quite a long way. A few hours in, he's got 48% of the votes. In second place is Murray with just 7%. So already we're noticing a big swing towards Kane, which, to be fair, I mean, that does actually kind of, in my opinion, make Duffy a slightly more viable candidate if you're looking to make up some ground, because at the moment in the poll he's just got 5%. So definitely an opportunity there. But I mean, the fact that Kane's running away with this, I wanted to ask you, Joe. I mean, because I think between Duffy and Kane, they're probably the 2 main candidates that we would consider, and a lot of other people as well. Some people have the triple captainship available for this game week because of the way they play their chips. I know that we don't, but there are still people out there who could play it this week. If you had the triple captainship right now, and it was a choice between Kane and Duffy, who would you choose? I think I know who you'd go for, but I think there will be some people considering both for the triple.
Yeah, I think I would go for Duffy, which is a bit weird, because I just can't. If I've got the opportunity to put a triple captaincy chip on a double game week player, I take that opportunity. And whilst I think Harry Kane will start, I think he'll do well. I think there's potentially a higher ceiling in 2 games for Duffy to do well. I think I'd be looking at possibly bonus, possibly an attacking return of some kind, and at least 1 clean sheet. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get at least that clean sheet. So yeah, I just think you have to do that. But it's an odd position to be in, and I can certainly see the merits for it. I certainly wouldn't be triple captaining anyone else other than Duffy or Kane this week. People might think about Murray and people like that, but Murray's stats haven't been good. We can't guarantee he's going to start both, so you effectively could be a single game week player anyway. But yeah, it's a good point to raise. What about this chap though? Your captain of this week, Jamie Vardy. Now, Neil did an article about just following on from that success he had there, and Vardy's owners who are wildcarding face a tough choice ahead of double game week 35, he says, and perhaps quite rightly, it is a tough choice. He's in great form, but if those who are wildcarding or looking to max up on double game week 35 players, and prepare for that, they might be looking to ditch him, and that may involve ditching him this week on a wild card as well. So what do we think about Jamie Vardy as a intriguing single game week captaincy option this week against Newcastle?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely still looks at a good option in terms of his own individual form. Last 4 matches, 15 shots, 12 inside the box, 7 on target. So, he's below Kane for shots and shots inside the box, but he's got one more shot on target, which generally speaking is what you'd expect from Vardy. Fewer shots, but more on target, generally a higher conversion rate. So it's hard to bet against him. Answering this from a personal perspective, I am probably not going to have him in my wildcard squad, which is a shame. I feel like it was maybe
he's given you so much.
I know, and it's Newcastle and West Ham are the next 2. But I think the thing is, like you say, when you're wildcarding and you're really trying to maximise what you can get out of the bench boost next week, someone who's 9.1 and you also really want to have Kane and you quite like a Sterling and you maybe want an Eriksen as well. People that are going to play 2 matches that you fancy their chances to do well. Vardy's kind of almost the wrong price. If he was like a 6 million or a 7 million, because I'm keeping Jimenez, for example, like no doubt about that. If he was that sort of price, then maybe he's the kind of player that you can consider keeping. But his price is just that too much. And to be fair, I may turn around and decide I am going to keep him. But initially, my initial thoughts are I'm not. But if you are going to have him for this weekend, then absolutely, I think that he's worth thinking about. Leicester are in that position now where they put themselves, in a much, much stronger position for European football. I mean, like you were saying when we've done the last videos, this is the time of the season when you start having to ask yourself, what are people playing for?
Yeah.
And Leicester have the opportunity to get European football, despite the fact that 2 months ago it was looking like they were destined for mid-table obscurity. So. And then even if they didn't have a new manager, they were playing this well, I'd still, they've got something to play for. But there's an added extra element of Brendan Rodgers of almost a point to prove. There's so much, backlash, largely north of the border, for him coming down here from Celtic. But it's still there. He very much will be feeling the pressure of coming away from, what could have been a record-breaking title win for Celtic to come down here to finish 7th in the Premier League. He wants to do that in style. He wants to put on a show at the end of the season and show that he's come to, what he perceives to be a better team in his mind, I would imagine. So there's so many factors in there that kind of just back up this idea that Leicester really do have to go for it in these last couple of fixtures. So, yeah, I really think that Vardy can be a good differential for anyone who's going to keep him.
I think Leicester players as well. I think there's a lot of individual motivation there. Tielemans was a player that you got in. I got in as well. This week, and he rewarded us instantly. But we got him in because he's got that personal motivation. He wants to do well at Leicester. He's been, has been in and out of a Monaco team, and he wants to show people, what he's all about, and on a big stage, and he's getting that every week with Leicester. So he's that motivation. Vardy's obviously very motivated. You've got other players like Maddison as well. You've got people looking for international call-ups, those types of personal motivation. And it just seems to be that atmosphere around Leicester. They've, it's almost like their season has started now. Well, whenever Rodgers came in, it's like this is the start, and they're just going to kick on from that. And they're a good team. A lot of people have kind of at the moment tripled up on them, and there are good options there. And specifically for the captaincy as well. So once again, if someone said they're going to keep Vardy on their wild card this week, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I think that's really good. A good plan, but at the same time, the temptation to get rid is there. Looking at the fixtures as well, elsewhere, do we think there's any other single game week players that we think are worth captaining this week? In particular, perhaps Man City against the Palace side that have been less impressive at home and very good away, and they've also got a lot of injuries at the back. Tompkins, the latest to go on the treatment table. What do we think of City's assets?
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why they're going to get looked at. That particular fixture does look very nice in isolation, for the reasons you've just mentioned there. If we're talking about points to prove, Guardiola would love to go and win at Selhurst Park after what happened at the Etihad earlier this season, where Palace got that surprising win there. But for me, I haven't really even considered this game. And it back to his league once again, because so if I was going to pick anyone for this particular game in isolation, I'd probably look at Sterling or Aguero. Aguero's fitness we're not really sure on just yet, because obviously Jesus was the man for the FA Cup game. And of course, Aguero could be back for Champions League. So we should have an idea of what Aguero's fitness is within the next couple of days, either in a pep press conference or perhaps...
He is back in training. He's been photographed in training at Charlton Athletics ground. They've been training for a few days.
Okay.
And,
I didn't know they were training.
And so, he was there. I'm not sure why they were there, but Charlton Athletic, as a Brighton fan, seeing Championship and lower league matches over the year, Charlton Athletic are one of those teams you just got to love. I don't know, there's something about them. They're just like an okay side. They always do the right thing. And so perhaps they're going there to get some kind of good credibility going there amongst the community of London.
Right.
But I'm not looking there. I just think there's a threat of rotation. They've got lots of exciting games coming up.
Absolutely, that's the key.
And
the Spurs games are far more important, I think.
Palace away, isn't it? I remember last season as well, the Palace Man City game being a right old slog and very annoying. I think Milivojevic may have missed a penalty, a rare miss for him. Elsewhere, we've mentioned Vardy, we mentioned Kane, the City. Manchester United, we've stopped mentioning them. But if Lukaku's fit, as we just said with the stats, he's the only one who's outperforming Kane at the moment in terms of recent matches played. What about, likes of Lukaku perhaps against West Ham? He does like to score against them after all.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Man United fixture this week is really bothering me because I look at it and I look at West Ham and how they've been recently. Obviously, anyone listening to this later in the week, we are talking about this before West Ham's game against Chelsea on Monday night, which anything can happen, I think, in a game between those two. So I don't want to say right now West Ham's defence are awful and then they keep a clean sheet against Chelsea. But
let's say irrespective of the Monday game, recently they've been awful.
Recent form, irrespective of that game, absolutely they look pretty poor. Away from home especially. Man United at home, in decent form. Lukaku, as you say, looking fantastic with the stats, 15 shots in the last 4 matches, 14 inside the box, 9 on target. I would love to captain a kind of player in that kind of form in this game week, but then it's sort of for a lot of these questions, whether or not someone's going to captain them it's weird. Normally, you just want to look at that one game week, but actually, you have to sometimes look beyond that. You're playing your wild card. A lot of people this week for 34, which means you have to be in terms of who you want to have. You've got to look at game week 35, 36, 37, 38. And if you fancy other options to do better over that spell, even if you think that person might do better in 34 in isolation, are they really the best captain candidate if you then would have to sell them the next week? So then that's how I feel about some United assets, because in 35, it's away at Everton, who all of a sudden seem to have become a fantastic defensive team.
What's happened?
Marco Silva's their manager, and historically he hasn't really been able to do that. But yeah, they've looked great. I think it's now 5 clean sheets in 6, I think it is, for them now. Then, of course, the other double game week 35 fixture for Man United is home against Man City. I'm not ruling out Man United scoring in that game. I mean, I think that's the most likely game where Man City could drop points and then therefore not win the league. But, you never really want to be, that puts me off enough to not want to own Lukaku for that. Then it's at home against Chelsea, same again. You've got Huddersfield and Cardiff for the last 2, so, maybe. But really, do I want to be signing a guy who, in his next 6 matches, 3 of them look really nice and 3 of them don't? So that, for me, is why, if you've got Lukaku, yeah, great, that looks like a cool option. But, just because he looks really good this week, if you're in a wild card, I wouldn't be swayed by that fixture.
Okay.
To put it.
And one last fixture to mention is Liverpool hosting Chelsea. Now, people always say, why didn't you mention so-and-so? So, well, this is our chance to mention so-and-so.
Yeah.
That so-and-so being Salah or Mane. And the reason I mentioned that, and I haven't mentioned Chelsea's assets there, is because, now I did some research on Bournemouth for the Brighton game. 1 clean sheet in their last 4 away, and they've conceded 14 goals. There's only 2 teams over the last 4 away to concede more than Bournemouth, and that's Fulham and Chelsea. So that's why I think that someone thinking, right, I'm not going to bother with Brighton and Cardiff. I'm not going anywhere near that riffraff that David and Joe have been going on about. I want to go for a single game week player. I don't have Harry Kane, but I do have Salah. I actually think that's not a bad choice, or Mane as well. I think they're I think they could do well. What do you think? I mean, yeah, I think some wildcarders will probably be shunning them as well because they don't have a double game week. But do you think that could be an opportunity?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way because of reasons you just mentioned there. I mean, I've been playing with my wildcard last couple of days, and it is quite nice every time I remove Salah and see where I could spend the money. It does look great. And even though Salah, is back in the goals now, got a big goal for them on Friday night, I haven't seen quite enough yet to suggest that he's still worth that much for the rest of the season. But that doesn't mean he's not going to do well. So, this is another huge game. I mean, basically, if Liverpool are going to win the league, they have to win this game. And they need their big players to step up. And if they do that, that's going to be Salah, Mane, Firmino, one of those three. So I think for me, I mean, I think maybe the best position to be in to look at Salah and go, okay, I'm going to go for it, is maybe if you're chasing up some kind of ground and you almost your differential is holding on to the player that lots of other people have sold, and then captain him for a big game because you feel that he's got over his slump now and he's back back to what we want from him. But it is still a huge risk, I think, because it's a big game in a week where we have lots of other options who have easy games. So opportunity, I think, is the best way of describing it more than anything else. It's just a chance to make up some ground, but there are several risks to it.
Okay, yeah, all about strategy this part of the season, whether it be mini leagues or getting in the overall rankings. And hopefully we've given some people some good food for thought there. There's obviously the Duffy and the double game weekers, and Kane, Salah and Co and the single game weekers, and each one I think has its merit in terms of trying to get a good ranking boost and move up those mini leagues. And at the same time, they all come with risk. I'm probably going to captain Duffy myself, and that could come with a substantial risk if they get hammered, and actually it could go negative as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a history of own goals as well, hasn't he? Back when he was in
yes,
just drop that in at the end of the video.
Yes, he does. So it's all fraught with danger, but that's FPL. David, good luck with this dangerous game week coming up.
Yeah, and to you as well.